Next, if you weren't on Telegram before the Ukrainian war started, you might well be now. Downloads of the messaging app have topped the charts since Russia invaded Ukraine. To tell us more, I'm joined by technology editor Peter O'Brien. Good to see you, Peter. Could you explain what Telegram is for those who don't have it?
Yeah, so it's been likened to WhatsApp, but it's really more of a social network than a messaging platform. It does have instant messaging features, but it also has channels where you can broadcast messages to an unlimited number of people, and these group chats which can have up to 200,000 members in them. I mean, that's just a staggering amount of memes sent every day. I can't imagine the headache it would be to be in one of them. This makes the app then incredibly viral, much more so than other apps like it. The same message can be shared to a vast number of people. Group chats on WhatsApp, by comparison, are limited to 256 people, and you can only forward a message to a maximum of 5 different people. That's deliberately to stop the spread of fake news.
Yeah, and unfortunately, in a situation like this war, viral isn't always good news.
Absolutely not. So Telegram was very popular in Ukraine and Russia before the war broke out, and now it's found itself on the front line. Aid workers are using it, journalists are using it, of course, officials and politicians on each side are using it to spread their messages, but also, crucially, lots of Ukrainian civilians are using it as well, not just to talk to each other, but to look for missing relatives, to be warned about incoming air raids, even to organize resistance. So, for instance, learning how to make petrol bombs and learning how to spot Russian saboteurs. They're even chatting to a chatbot on Telegram, which was set up by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry to report Russian troop positions.
And even in Russia, over in Russia, it's one of the few social media platforms that are still available.
Yeah, that's right. It's one of the few places Russians can access independent news. But because of its viral nature, Telegram's also found itself on the front line of the information war. As we know, it's the root of a lot of the propaganda and misinformation that's come about on both sides and then spread internationally. Telegram knows this, which I find extraordinary. 3 days after the invasion began, the founder, Pavel Durov, actually posted that he was considering restricting access to Telegram in Ukraine and Russia, precisely because he was worried that it would aggravate the conflict because of the amount of misinformation on the platform. Now, this post received a backlash, and he eventually decided not to go through with this.
And there have been questions surrounding misinformation, fake news, as you mentioned, but also around security.
Yes, this is paramount. As we've said, many Ukrainian civilians are using it. Your initial impression of Telegram might be that it's secure because it sort of brands itself and markets itself as private and heavily encrypted, but the cybersecurity community, in fact, says this isn't really the case, and it also kind of, you could have the impression that it looks a bit like something like Signal, which is reputed to be quite privacy conscious. Well, you might be led to believe it's private because of that as well. But Moxie Marlinspike, who's actually the founder of Signal, hates nothing more than to be compared to Telegram. He sort of points out that if you log on to Telegram from a new phone, all of your messages will suddenly reappear. Why is that? Because they're stored on a Telegram server, and he says that's what makes it not secure. You can, of course, on Telegram choose to start a new chat which is end-to-end encrypted, but even then experts are skeptical, like the cryptography researcher Thomas Benyer.
Vous, en tant qu'utilisateur, vous n'avez rien à faire d'autre que de choisir le correspondant. Eh bien, ça veut dire que vous avez nécessairement, quelque part, un serveur, un tiers de confiance sur lequel vous vous appuyez pour créer ce canal de chiffrement. Si ce tiers de confiance ne fait pas son travail, s'il n'est pas de confiance, justement, eh bien, vous avez un problème parce qu'il peut faire une attaque qu'on appelle de l'homme du milieu et qui permet à la fin, d'ouvrir le canal de communication et de regarder tout ce que vous y dites.
A worrying statement there, Peter. How has Telegram responded to these accusations?
Well, the man to ask is Pavel Durov, the founder of Telegram that I mentioned, but he's a very hard man to track down. He was born Russian, but he has French citizenship. He also has the citizenship of St. Kitts and Nevis. But his relationship with the Kremlin is long and complicated. Telegram was banned in Russia between 2018 and 2020. This was because he was refusing to hand over cryptographic keys to encrypted messages to Russia's Federal Security Service. Now, we don't know why exactly this ban was lifted, though the Kremlin said it was because of Durov's readiness to counter terrorism and extremism on Telegram. Now, 2 weeks ago, Durov reiterated his commitment to Ukrainians' privacy. He was recalling how he stood up to Russia repeatedly in the past and how he has Ukrainian family. But if that's not enough to reassure Ukrainians that it's completely safe, and it's not, well, unfortunately, many of them don't have a choice because they're on it because everyone's on it. And even those in the tech business are on it, like Maria Avdiva. She's a cybersecurity researcher who's in Kharkiv right now. I talked to her earlier.
It's absolutely not secure. It is a good way, a source to spread information because there are so many users there. And Ukrainian officials and the expert community does use Telegram to spread information for our audience. But it does not mean that we consider it a legitimate source of secure messenger.
Peter, now more than ever, it's important to understand the apps that we use to communicate with our friends and loved ones. Thank you very much, Peter O'Brien, technology editor.